Everyone, welcome to OA's Ventures underscore Millenary Online Training. For this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a doubled plate. These are the materials I'll be needing. I'll need any fabric of my choice, but this is a shiny fabric, and this is my scuba for filling. These are any embellishments of choice. You need any embellishments of your choice to embellish your finished work. You need a scissors, matching thread and needle. So now let's get started. So now for the first base, I'll be measuring out 29 inches. 29 inches in two places. 29 inches by 4. 29 inches wide by 4 inches in length. 29 inches length and 4 inches wide. So I'm going to cut that out in two places. You carefully measure. When measuring, you make sure you use your chalk to mark out whatever you need for this project. 29 inches. 29 inches long into two places. I'm going to carefully mark it out. I added a little half, 29 inches. You use your chalk to just mark out the 29 inches. I added a little half here to it, half inches. Then you measure out 4 inches. You don't want it to be too wide. If it's possible that you use 3 inches, but because of turning, you are going to use at least 3.5 inches for the wideness. 3.5 inches, because you don't want the plate to be too big, because we are also doubling it. So you just use 3.5 inches. I'm going to measure out 3.5 inches. I'm going to measure it out into, now as it is now, I've cut out 2 strips of my 29 inches. 2 strips of my 29 inches by 3.5. 29 inches by 3.5. I cut them out into two places. I also cut out 35 inches. For the upper part of the ruffle, I cut out 35 inches. For the upper part of the ruffle. So I cut that out into two places. As you can see, I cut that out into two places. So now I'm going to sew both sides together. I'm using the non-stretchy part of this fabric because it's a stretchy fabric. So I'm using the non-stretchy part to cut out what I'm cutting out. So you carefully turn it like this with the right side facing inside. You fold it into two. After folding into two, you then sew it at the edge. You sew it straight down like that. You sew it straight down till you get to the end of this piece. You sew it straight down. So you do that for everything, for the 29 inches and for the 35 inches. You can use any fabric of choice. So which is, you can use an Ankara fabric, you can use a doll face fabric, or any fabric that you wish to use. So just use the non-stretchy part. So it's going to make your work look neat and fine. So I'm going to set this one aside. And for the handle of my twist, I'm going to make it a very tiny rough hand, because most times when it's too big, it doesn't sit well on the head. So I'm still using the non-stretchy part. Okay, I'm using the non-stretchy part, as you can see. So this is the non-stretchy part. So I'm going to cut them like this. As you can see, I'm going to cut it out from the non-stretchy part of the fabric. So you carefully pick out the non-stretchy part and you cut out what you are going to use for your handle. Part is for the benefit of those who don't know how to connect their V-band. So now I have my 11.5 inches wide on fold by 12 inches length. So these are the band that I cut out. I'm going to fold At this point, you don't sew from the wrong side, you sew from the right side because you're attaching the band directly. So you fold the band into two like this, with the right side facing outside, and you fold the other parts too the same way. As you can see, you fold them the same way. Then place this one on the second one, just as you see me do like this. You gently place this one here like this. Carefully arrange it. You place it on it. As you can see, you carefully place your band like this. Now, this is how you attach it to your cap. Because this place is the wrong side, anything you are sewing, you sew it so that it will come out, as in it will come out where the wrong side is. So I'm going to pick my base and place this one on it like this. You can see they are both the same. So before then, I'm going to notch the middle of the cap, of the base of the cap. I'm going to notch the middle so that I know where my V will start from. I'll notch the middle a little, as you can see. Then I'll open it. So I know where my V band will start from. So I'll carefully place this on it like this. Then place this middle point to this middle here. You carefully do that. You can see. You carefully place it on like this. I hope you see what I'm doing. You carefully place it on. So at this point, you can use your needle to hold it down. So I'm going to just use my needle to hold this place down a little so that you can actually see what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to hold this V band down. As you can see, I've held it down. So both of them is still on fold as it is. So I'm going to sew it to this part. If you are sewing it, you can start from the middle if it's confusing for you to start from one end here to the other end. So you can start sewing from the middle down here, and from that same middle you carefully sew it down to the other part. So as you can see, I hope you see what I'm doing. So I'm going to carefully sew it down like this. I'm going to carefully sew it down with a loose stitch so that you can see what I'm trying to show you here. I'm going to use a loose stitch before using a sewing machine so that you get to see what I'm trying to do. For the benefit of those who don't know how to join the band, that is why I'm doing this. As you can see, then you put it back inside. You make sure that this place your sewing is holding this place, this pointy place down. So I'm going to pass my needle there. I'm going to pass my needle there. So you carefully pull. Be careful so your rope doesn't tangle. So I'm going to go again, sew it down. As you can see, I've finished stitching the first part. As you can see, I finished stitching the first part. This is the back of it. This is just a running stitch so that you can see what I'm actually doing. Same thing we apply to this other part. So I'm still going to lose it and use my sewing machine. So before using your sewing machine, you just have to use your safety pins to hold them down, to hold them in place so that they don't start shifting or give you a very wrong outcome, a very rough outcome. So now for this other part, because if I sew it like this, this place will be outside. So I'm going to gently bring this place like this. As you can see, I will gently drag this place like this. You can see it's now same as this other part. I'll gently drag this place like this to this end. As you can see, this I'll drag this place to this point here. You know, yeah, as you can see. Then before I'll put this one, this other band, I'll place it on it gently. You can see, you make sure that this place is not coming out. So it should be here, as you can see it should be outside of this wrong part. So you are going to do the running stitch again here. After holding it down with your pins, when you want to sew, you gently sew it. You gently sew it down so as that place should not come out, because at times after sewing you notice that this place will come out because it's not properly tucked in into the other side. So I'm just going to hold this place down. I'm just going to carefully hold that place down. I'm going to gently hold that place down and continue sewing. I'm just using the running stitch just for the purpose of this tutorial. So I'm going to continue sewing for the benefit of those who don't know how to connect the V-band. So I'm going to continue sewing it. I'll sew it down. You know, this place, after sewing, this place will come, this place will be inside. So I'm going to pass it back inside that place so that it will hold that place inside. It will hold it in place. Now I'll continue sewing. So you carefully place it on this place like this. Carefully place it on. So I'm going to quickly sew this place down now, and I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. You can see the outcome. As you can see, this is the final outcome of what we have. So as you can see, this is the V band. You can see that it's like a V already. That's taking the form of a V, as you can see. So the next thing is, still on the wrong side, I'm going to sew it. I'll place both ends together like. I'll sew from this edge, from this point. I'll use my sewing machine to sew it straight down till it comes to this end like this. So I'm just going to sew it straight down like that. So after sewing, and I'll show you the final outcome. I'm going to sew it now and I'll show you the final outcome. This is our turban cap. This is the final look of our turban cap. As you can see, I've sewn it, the places that I used a running stitch for, I've sewn it round. This is the other side of it, and this is our V here. I've sewn it round and I locked it the way I showed you. I locked it like this. So I did that part for the purpose of those that don't know how to. So when I turn it inside out, this is what we have after the whole project. So this is what we have here. As you can see, this is what we have here. This is the outer part of it. This is our V front. So the V front is a very beautiful design, and it comes out unique on any kind of design of headwear that you want to make it for. So now let's get to our twist. This is our 35 inches by 7 inches, 35 inches by 5 inches. So this, I've sewn them and I've turned them inside out. I've sewn them and I turned them inside out. So this is our strap. I've also sewn them. As you can see, I locked the one end. So when I glue this place, here is going to be covered, and it will make my work neat, to make any of your projects neat. So I've sewn the two. I've set this aside. So for this one, we are going to put a fabric inside. You can use any fabric of choice, but I choose to use this scuba because it has a kind of very soft feeling, a soft texture. So I'm just going to cut out 34 or 32 inch 4 by 6. So I'm going to just measure it gently and cut that part out. I'm going to cut it out into 2 places because that is what I'll be stuffing inside our strips already. So this is 3.5, so let's do 4 inches. So I'm going to trace this part to the other end. I'm going to trace it to the other end, and I'm going to cut it out so that you can see the outcome. So now at this point of the cap, I'm just going to make my running stitch at the back. I'm going to carefully make a running stitch from here like this to this end here. So I'm going to double my thread while threading my needle to make it to be thick, so that it's going to last long. So I'm just going to, if you wish, you can just trim off some little excess there so as not to make the cap too bulky. So now I'm going to just start from this actual place, that's after the band. You don't start from the band directly, you start from this actual place, let's say about some inches away from the band. Okay, 3 inches away from the band, 3 or 4 inches. So let's do 4 inches away from the band, and we're going to just do a loose stitch. Just watch me closely on how I do the loose stitch. You can see I passed my thread here, my needle here, and came out from this other end. So I'm going to just do that. Since it's a loose stitch, I'm going to just do it round like that. This is also another way of making the turban have some rough at this point. So you gently cut your excess off and you tie it. Then you cut out your excess. Now this is the final look of what you have. You can see this is the back of our turban cap. So you can see this is the back of our turban cap. This is the result of the running stitch that we made at the back. So you can see that we left 4 inches before we started our running stitch. So this is it. This is the result of what we have. So now I'm going to place it on my mannequin and put on the two twists that we made, and you're going to see how it looks like. I finished cutting it out. So now the next part is stuffing it inside our strips. So at this point you are going to use you need your safety pins. Then you fold it into two. As you can see, you fold it into two. You put your safety pin, and then you gently pass inside your strips, just like this. You gently pass it inside your strip, just like this, and make sure that you pass it down till it gets to the other end of your strip. Why I'm using this scuba is because it has a soft feel. It's not as hard as those other scubas. This has a very soft feel, and it makes inside feel like it's foam, so it's not that hard. So that's why I'm using the scuba, and it doesn't wash, so it's a very good fabric. You can stock in any fabric that you want inside your strip. You can use a stretchy fabric or a non-stretchy fabric. You can just stuff something there. Just make sure that your fabric is not too much, so that you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve with your project. So as this has come outside on the other side, so I'll just gently pull and arrange it till it gets to the end. So I'll do that for the other strip too, and I'll show you the outcome. At this point I've finished stuffing both, as you can see. So you're going to get an edge, that's one part of it that your stuffing is not coming out too well, and you place them together. Then you make your thread a very thick thread, and get someone to hold it for you if you can't do it alone. Then you tie this edge like this. As you can see the way I'm tying it, you tie it normally the way you tie anything you want to tie and keep. So you just tie it around about 2 or 3 times to make sure that it is very firm, so it won't come out losing. So you get someone to hold it for you, and you tie it. Be careful while tying. If you can't do it alone, get somebody to hold it for you. So after tying, you cut out the excess. Then you get someone to hold it, or if you know you can do this twist alone, you can. but you get someone to hold it if you are a first time twister with fabric. Then you can see you turn it a little bit, you bring it to your right hand side, so everything will be going right, 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 right. So you don't pull it too tight and you don't pull it too loose. So you can see it's coming to the right. I'm going to just hold it like this, put it a little like that, so it should not be too tight and it should not be too loose. So you carefully do it like this, or you get someone to hold it so that it will be easier and faster for you to work with. So you can see this is our 35 inches length. So you carefully get someone to hold it for you while you twist, so that your twisting is going to be accurate. So you continue like that till you get to the end of the 35 inches. So this is our 28 inches. I've already twisted this one, and as you can see, I locked both edge. I locked this edge and I locked the other end just to secure it, so you can see it's not too tight and it's not too loose. So that's how I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do it now and I'll show you the final outcome. So now at this point I have finished the twist. This is the two twists. So now I've plugged my glue gun. If you don't have a glue gun, you can just thread your needle and you gently pick edges together. Make sure it's on your mannequin like this, and if you're making the twist 3, you just increase the third one by 45, because you are coming around like this and it will take a very long strip of twist. So you just carefully pick the two edges like this. If you don't have a glue gun, you just carefully pick the two edges like this and you tack it down. You carefully pick the two edges, you tack it down. You tack it here about maybe 3 places. You tack it at this side, you tack it in the middle, by the side, and this edge. So now I'm going to get attached this strap. So I'm going to attach the other strap to this. You carefully fold it in to hide the rough edge. Then you tuck both excess inside it. You tuck the excess inside of it so as to give it a finished look. Either you glue it or you tie it, whichever way is easier for you to. But I'll suggest you sew and stitch it so that it's going to be very durable. So as it is now, I'm going to sew these two edges. This is how the twist will look like. So I'm going to sew this two end together. So let me set this one aside and show you how the cap will be like. So at this point, you can choose to add embellishment as you wish. So you can put any embellishment of choice. As you can see, this one, you just cut it and place it by the side, or you use a matching embellishment like these little ones here. You can see, or you just place them like this. You put the second one and you put the third one. So this is the final outcome of our double twist Turban Gele. You can see this is the final outcome. The final outcome of our Turban Twist Gele. Thank you for watching.